Minimalism has a bad rap for being a cold, sparse, and uninviting interior style. Luckily, a new form of minimalism has emerged called warm minimalism or soft minimalism that is much more inviting and cozy than the traditional minimalist interiors before. In this video, I'll go through everything you need to know about this trending interior design style, from its history to practical tips so you can achieve the look in your own home. History of minimalism. The 20th century was the beginning of minimalist design, where the concept of less is more was born. It was a rejection and reaction to the overly decorative design styles that dominated the 19th century. The 1920s and 1930s witnessed the birth of architectural minimalism, with the Bauhaus school and development of international style that was characterized by the use of new materials like glass, steel, and concrete, the rejection of all color and ornaments as well as the repetitive modular forms. While this was the time that minimalism flourished, some historians trace back the roots even further to Japanese history and Zen philosophy, with their concepts surrounding peace and finding inner freedom through simplicity. Evolution of traditional minimalism to warm minimalism. What most people think of when they hear the phrase minimalist architecture or minimalist interiors is traditional minimalism. Think very clean and very open spaces with limited materials. Looking at these images, you may think barren, empty, cold, or even sterile, with their restrictive color palettes and lack of character and homeliness. That is what minimalism used to be all about until people realized that it was practically impossible to keep these spaces that clean and tidy, especially in residential settings. Today, minimalism has evolved to still be about living with less but in a more intentional manner. It is not about getting rid of all your belongings to the extreme, but rather finding a place and purpose for them. While traditional minimalist homes still exist and remain a popular style, many of us want our space to feel clean but comfortable at the same time. Warm minimalism follows the minimalist principles with a focus on clean line and reduced color palette. But instead of taking everything out of the space, it borrows decorating cues from Belgian and Japanese interiors that allow for more layers and texture that results in an overall more pleasant and welcoming space. Before I continue, I wanted to briefly thank today's sponsor, Milanote. I've been using Milanote for quite some time to organize and gather my thoughts in a visual way for my projects. One of my favorite features is the handy web clipper extension, where you can easily save a whole board or simply tap on the Milanote icon on each images. These images will then go straight into the unsorted area of the board you've chosen, where you can simply arrange them or add specific comments to reference your thoughts. I find this really useful when specifying products for my design projects, as I can use the links to easily trace it back to the suppliers. You can also share your board with clients or colleagues, or export them in PDF format so you can share them externally. Furthermore, you can access Milanote through desktop and mobile apps, so your ideas are always accessible on the go. Milanote is available for free with no time limit. Sign up using the link in the description box and start your next creative project. Key characteristics of warm minimalism. Muted neutral and warm color scheme. The base of every warm minimalist interiors is a warm muted color scheme with an emphasis on neutrals. Warm undertones are extremely important as they're the main element that sets a warm minimalism apart from traditional minimalism. In contrast, traditional minimalist schemes usually feature cool, stark color schemes. For warm minimalism, white walls that have hints of soft beige or cream in them are a good base for the interior. You'll also often find Venetian plaster finishes as it adds a warm textured backdrop to the space. Bright, crisp white walls can also work if you combine them with warm lighting, or pair it with warm accents like rugs to soften the look. As warm minimalism allows a more expansive palette than traditional minimalism, you can add other natural colors to your interiors like tan, beige, terracotta, and timber tones. Add in these colors through upholstered furniture, art, books, throws, or cushions. Natural material combinations. As the color palette is greatly inspired by nature, there's no surprise that natural material combinations are a major aspect of warm minimalism. Think wool, linen, leather, paper, and handmade ceramics. Lots of simple materials that are uncomplicated and unassuming, as they add layers of textures, depth, and warmth. While traditional minimalist designs are often limited to white plaster walls against one or two other materials, warm minimalism can feature different stone finishes alongside timber and brick, or a space that is clad entirely in timber. On a smaller scale, try to combine contrasting textures like a smooth marble sculpture on a rough wooden cabinet or soft cushions on a wooden bench. Sculptural accents. Sculptural accents are everywhere in warm minimalist interiors. It may be an organically shaped sofa, a free-form light fixture, a mirror, or a ceramic piece. A lot of these sculptural accents are quite organic in nature, with sweeping curvy linear line work to soften any hard edges in the space. Filtered light. Soft filtered light or ambient light is what makes warm minimalist interiors feel cozy and inviting. Sheer curtains are often used in these interiors, as they connect the style to its natural roots whilst gently diffusing light for a soft glow. It is really important to layer your lighting to increase the ambience and atmosphere of the space. I recommend having at least 2 additional light sources to your overhead lights. For example, you could have a table lamp with a paper shade or opaque glass shade that ties in with the theme. Also try to have warm tone bulbs rather than cool tone ones. If you haven't watched my video on how to light a space, I highly recommend that you do so you can perfect lighting in your own home. Asymmetrical but balanced. Traditional minimalism is all about symmetry, clean lines, and repetition. While warm minimalism follows similar principle, it can also be about creating visual interest through asymmetry, yet in an ordered and harmonious way. One-of-a-kind statement pieces feature heavily in warm minimalist interiors, such as mismatched chairs, off-centered artworks, and very sculptural furniture. They are then balanced by placing another similar-sized object somewhere else in the room, but it also doesn't have to be mirrored like traditional minimalism. Mismatched furniture. In addition to furniture being mismatched in the sense of having a one-of-a-kind statement pieces, warm minimalist interiors also often feature a mix of vintage and contemporary furniture. Most spaces feature mainly contemporary furniture that is quite simple. Unnecessary embellishments are avoided like cabinet beading, detailed woodworking on cabinetry or chairs. High contrast moments. Traditional minimalism is characterized by very flat, very monochromatic schemes. However, warm minimalism is not shy to have some high contrast moments. While not a requirement, many warm minimalist spaces feature black accents like window frames, lamps, hardware, or black decor items. These accents are done in small amounts scattered throughout the room to balance the overly neutral scheme. Timber architectural details. Timber architectural details in light woods like white oak or birch are a recurring feature in warm minimalist homes. You may see ceiling details like timber beams or wall details like timber cladding. Flooring is almost always wood and may feature a herringbone or chevron pattern to increase the visual interest of the space. Layering. At the end of the day, warm minimalism comes down to layering. Layering of textures, layering of objects, and layering of light. This is what ultimately sets warm minimalism apart from traditional minimalism, in the power of layering to create a space that still embraces the clean look of minimalism, yet with natural materials, textures, curved shapes, and curated accessories that bring warmth and character. If this is a style you resonate with, I highly recommend you check out Norm Architect's work and their book Soft Minimal. It is a really great resource that will keep your creative juices flowing. You can also check out works from designers like House of Grey and Anthology Interiors, and look into brands like Menu, or the works of famous Belgian architects like Vincent van Duysen or Axel Vervoort. And that is all for this week's video on warm minimalism. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section below and I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.